What he's looking for his cross. Put your jab, feint, and counter him up.
That's right. Draw him out. Go finish him. Draw him out. As soon as he
But touch first. Do the black kid. Do the black kid. Do the black kid.
Hey, what I don't like? What I don't like? That you move your red to the right. Don't do it.
Let's see here.
UFC Fight Pass has a quadruple header this Friday with 4 live events in one action-packed night. Watch the best in combat sports from around the globe, featuring Jorge Masvidal's Icon FC, Cage Fight Series, Budo Senso, and LFA. Only on UFC Fight Pass. Back to action here in Paris. Round number 2 between these two top middleweights.
Extremely close first round. Very, very close.
I knew it would be.
Yeah. How did you think of that, John?
Yeah, look at the people chiming in. UFC fighters are kind of split so far on who they see that first round going to. I think it's a good idea to pressure some takedowns. Nice work there from Whitaker, just shucks it right off.
I mean, you got to think it's going to be hard to take Whitaker down. I mean, he went in there with Romero over 10 rounds. And Romero I think he got him down once or twice, but Whitaker popped back up straight away. You know, if somebody like Romero is going to struggle, everyone's going to struggle.
And remember, these guys are going to be so sweaty, even in the second round. It's so warm that securing somebody, even if you get the takedown, keeping them there, going to be difficult.
Oh, that's a massive one hand.
That was Robert's best shot so far.
But we know how tough Vettori is.
He's going to chin him.
Well, that's what I like, that Whitaker is also mixing it up to the body. Loves that front kick up the middle.
How heavy do we think Borrachinho was when
No.
he 205? What did he walk into?
No, probably 225, 230 for sure.
Unreal.
And he was whipping some hard shots in, and Vettori didn't even flinch, didn't take a backward step, ate them all, fired right back. It was such an inspiring performance.
Yeah.
Just a little out of range without that. Again, that's the defensive footwork of Whitaker.
God fucking damn it, dude. I didn't see it. Oh!
Got through the guard a bit. Yeah. But Marvin still stirring.
Oh, man.
His eyes are wide, that's for sure.
Yeah, the speed is an issue right now.
It really is 1% at this level, isn't it?
It really is. Especially at the top of the food chain, like these two are. And it just goes to show how good Israel Adesanya is. You know, he's ruled the roost for so long now. Taking out, well, he's lapping the division, to be honest, you know.
I love that get kicked away. Whitaker throws that right hand. We've seen it so much lately. But he's one of the guys.
God, he looks so good, dude. What the fuck?
I feel like he's cranking it up as well, Paul.
He's so fast, so accurate. That's so crazy.
Gotta get a feel, especially for somebody.
And against Vettori, dude, I actually expected this to be a fucking dogfight.
Just back to a point of the dominance of Israel Adesanya. If you take these two fighters and you go back over the
Look at that.
years, combat,
He's winning every
the
exchange.
only person that they have lost to is Israel Adesanya. You know, and he's beaten them both twice.
Yeah.
So it wasn't no fluke. Granted, close fights. Robert's trying to get on here though.
He's looking sharp. Setting things up.
No. Why you do this?
Pumping out good fakes.
Thank you.
Just look at the vision of Whitaker.
Come on, brother.
Too. He's always so focused, dialed in, and
Son. All right, we're gonna pause this shit. All right, we're gonna keep watching this shit then. Hold on, cause this is some wild ass shit. I'm not gonna restart the video or anything, but this is some wild ass shit right here, son. This is some wild ass shit right here, son. Hold on.
You completed 12th. You completed 12th grade?
Detective Smith begins to ask background questions to establish Ellen's behavioral baseline, or the behavior she normally displays.
Hashtag she lying, Your Honor.
Later in the interrogation, when she poses questions relevant to the crime, she will look for behaviors
She's fucking
that
lying,
diverge
Your
from
Honor.
Ellen's behavioral baseline when Ellen responds. We will expand on the formal technique of this concept later in the interrogations.
How old are you?
Where am I going?
18. Okay. All right. Where did you go to school?
South Milford High School.
When did you graduate?
Last year, class of 2017. This year, sorry, class of 2017. I graduated with an honors diploma.
Did she?
As we know, Ellen is lying when she answers most of these questions.
Oh,
because
nice.
we know she's lying, we can see the way Ellen expresses herself non-verbally when she lies based on facts. 1. Ellen's tone drops and flattens. A notable
I
deviation
forgot where I was
in her
going.
arrow
I don't know why the
language.
fuck I made it all the way back to honor hold.
No,
No. What's the last grade you completed?
12.
2. Her eyebrows raise. 3. This is a cluster of non-verbal indicators. Ellen looks up and to the right. She smiles, laughs as she answers, and then moves her hands apart.
When did you graduate?
Last year.
4. We can see another cluster when she corrects her lie with another lie. This time we can tell she's more flustered. She scrunches her face to the point that she closes her eyes. She false starts. We see her eyebrows drop dramatically. She rapidly shakes her head back and forth, and finally, she aggressively flicks her hair out of her face and tilts her head back. 5. Last, we see another eyebrow raise.
What kind of classes did you take?
AP.
AP what?
AP American Studies, AP Human Geography, AP Psychology, AP Biology,
Goodness.
pretty much everything I could take.
Yeah. And I know you live with your sisters, because I know somebody else has talked with them today. I didn't talk to them. And who else do you live with?
Just,
Ellen responds, just them, and she sounds more emotionally expressive. She may have a soft spot for her sisters. The investigator seems to think so, as she often includes them in her questioning.
and my mother.
Okay. Where do you live?
In the area, I don't know the exact address.
So you live with your sisters and your mom?
You're 15. You don't know
graduated
your
last year.
exact address.
And you were walking down the street, it sounds like, today?
Mm-hmm.
Who were you with?
I was with my friends.
Okay. And I wasn't there, so I really don't know.
Yeah.
Who are your friends?
The two males that have also been detained.
Okay. Who are they to you?
They're friends.
Okay. What are their names?
I'm not going to give their names.
Unless I'm there, she only trusts me as a lawyer.
Okay. So what have you been up to today?
I haven't been home, and now I'm really concerned about what's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
Ellen puts up her defenses. In a setting outside of an interrogation, defensiveness naturally elicits a negative response from the listener. Detective Smith is trained to employ the resistance countering technique, reframing. In this instance, she utilizes reframing to refocus Ellen's attention on something more positive. Holding positivity assists with resetting the flow of conversation, prevents defensiveness from building, and increases efficient information gathering. This tactic draws from the field of positive psychology, which arose from the idea that reorienting focus and reframing perspectives away from negativity results in greater life equilibrium.
Where were you?
Out.
Like out where?
Out and about.
Out and about.
When
Well,
Ellen
toot
lied
on-
about
on the
graduating
girl.
from South Medford High School,
I graduated with an honors diploma.
she stated that she had graduated with an honors diploma, an identity lie. This is unnecessary detail. In contrast, her responses here are short and vague.
Like out where?
Out and about.
She's unable to provide any detail. An investigative team will analyze amounts of detail and specificity in the context of what suspects say. They might note that Ellen was overly specific when she provided detail when Detective Smith didn't prompt her to. Honors diploma. They might also note that Ellen was overly vague when the investigator prompted her to be specific, her actions. Both warrant attention in an interrogative environment.
Where's the last place you slept?
At the house.
At your mom's house?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've talked to your mom. You know that? She's super worried about you. She's so worried about you.
Detective Smith shares that she knows Ellen is lying, but follows with an empathy statement. There is no perceptible response from Ellen, but it's clear Detective Smith is still trying to earn Ellen's trust and break the ice. This is an attempt to make an emotional connection, but Ellen holds steadfast, maintaining her resistance.
I would actually like to speak truth today. Okay? I think that your mom is, it's been a long time since I've seen a parent like your mom was today. She was on her knees on the ground, sobbing. Because that's how worried she is about you. So I do know that that's not where you spent last night. So where'd you spend last night?
I didn't sleep last night.
So where's the last place you slept?
My mother and my father's house.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've talked to your mom, and so I know that you haven't been staying there.
Right, it's my father's weekend. I go back and forth though, because my father is a little bit abusive.
Okay.
Ellen mentioned her father's abusive behavior relatively out of context. Her parents shared joint custody, which explains why she went back and forth between their houses. Further, her response bared no relevance to the question. Consider that Ellen conspired to kill her father and very recently encouraged and stood by as her boyfriend murdered him, lifted his body into the trunk of her father's car, and threw it over an embankment. Her statement regarding her father's abusive behavior extends beyond a lack of remorse, resembling something more like revenge. When investigators spoke to Ellen's old friends, they shared that she had been consistently confiding in them about the abuse.
I know that he was kind of rough on her, and she said that he would, emotionally abusive and physically abusive, but I'm not sure how true that is.
What she would bring up is things they were not good at her household. She felt her dad wanted to kill her. He started getting abusive. He started mistreating her sisters and her.
When the Medford PD posted details surrounding the crime and suspects on their Facebook timeline, there was an outpouring of mourning and kind words for Aaron. Many comments portrayed Aaron as the opposite of abusive, stating, Aaron cared more about his girls than anything. Members of the Fryer family and the Medford community were shocked.
So what's the last house you left from?
My father's house.
Okay. And when did you leave there?
About noon.
Okay. And then where'd you go?
Just wherever I felt like going. I just went for a walk. And I didn't stop walking.
So today is Monday, and it is 11:30.
Okay, so I've been awake for almost 24 hours.
So you left at noon. What day?
Sunday.
Okay.
Yesterday.
And what was going on before you left the house?
Detective Smith is attempting to establish timelines, but this proves difficult due to Ellen's continued lying and evasion.
My father was very upset about something.
What was he upset about?
I can't recall. He has very violent outbursts.
Okay.
My dog was hit by a car because he smashed a glass table onto my dog, and the gate was open, so my dog ran outside and he got hit by a car.
Oh my goodness, when did that happen?
A couple of weeks ago.
Okay. So what was going on yesterday to make you leave?
Just didn't really like the environment. I just didn't like the vibe.
Okay. So who was home when you left?
My sisters and my dad.
Okay.
Where's my dad now?
Ellen attempts to act as though she's concerned about her father, but she fails badly. Consider which behavioral cues indicate deception and post the timestamps in the comments.
I don't know. So you leave. What door did you leave out of?
The front door.
I fucking suck at
Did you
this.
tell anybody you were leaving?
No.
And then where'd you go?
Turn here, turn there.
Should I put these on?
Kind of wandering around town.
Ellen describes walking and seeing the nearby market, though she says her memory is fuzzy,
My memory is pretty fuzzy though.
Is it?
and she claims she doesn't remember much else.
And then what else did you see?
Nature.
Just a 1%.
Preceding interrogation, investigators may engage in an exercise termed perspective taking. They place themselves in the suspect's shoes. Suspects will often prepare themselves to answer questions that are central to the crime they committed. By viewing the situation from suspects' perspectives, investigators are more likely to determine what questions suspects might expect or not expect. Investigators will then begin the interrogation by asking anticipated questions to establish a behavioral baseline, and follow by asking unanticipated questions. This allows investigators to make a comparison between baseline responses and responses that suspects provide when caught off guard.
Well, at some point you must have met up with some friends.
Yeah, I ran into them.
Where were you when you saw them?
Can't
Couple
remember.
grand maybe.
So I feel a little bit, tiny bit like we might just be like playing cat and mouse and going back and forth. Okay.
Google perhaps.
In addition to displaying high levels of resistance, Ellen pushes back at the investigator. She exhibits prolonged eye contact. This is a confrontational behavior indicating aggressiveness. She will continue to do this periodically throughout the interrogation.
Your sisters have actually been already talked to by somebody, and they're pretty good on their times when they saw you, because they were getting up and alarms were set and looking at tablets and things like that.
Okay.
And so, you know, I just want to have an honest conversation with you. I think that your sisters are beyond scared, beyond worried. Okay? Like, for instance, the dog. Where's the dog?
Where is my dog?
What's his name? Squeakerbeak or something?
Sparklebeak.
Sparklebeak.
Where is he?
You tell me.
Where's the dog?
I don't know. Where is Sparklebeak? Okay, well, for me to have an answer about where Sparklebeak is, I don't. Because you're actually the one that took Sparklebeak.
The fuck is a sparkle
I took him
beak?
for a walk around the block and then I dropped him back off.
Oh my god, I hate how she talks.
Anywhere to be found. Your sisters remember you taking. Your sisters actually remember you taking him this morning and walking out the door with Sparklebeak.
Fuck.
I think only you know the answer to that.
No, I don't.
It would be nice to be able to at least let Sierra and Olivia know.
I don't know.
Okay. Do you have a boyfriend?
My parents made us break up.
Oh, they did. Tell me about that.
They just didn't like him.
Mm-hmm.
Note that Detective Smith is skilled at asking very open-ended questions to entice Ellen to speak. Open-ended questions encourage narratives that are rich in detail and allow investigators to collect further information and insight related to the case.
How'd you meet him?
School.
At South? Okay. And so you've been out of school for a bit,
Mm-hmm.
but your parents didn't like him?
Yeah.
How come they didn't like him?
I don't know.
Well, you must have had some kind of conversation about why your parents don't like your boyfriend.
They're just like, we don't like this guy, get rid of him.
So what did you do?
I ended it.
What was that boyfriend's name?
Gavin.
Justin.
What's his last name?
Can't remember. I wasn't dating him for very long. Maybe 2 weeks.
You don't know your boyfriend of 2 weeks' last name.
No.
We could find him in a yearbook, though.
Oh, okay.
Don't you think? Okay. You didn't have any other boyfriend?
No.
Every detail holds the potential to be significant. The nonverbal indicator that follows is very subtle, almost unnoticeable.
I've had a few, like, weak relationships that I don't really consider those to be real.
Everything
Super
is
fake.
noteworthy when it comes to body language analysis. Note that Ellen displays
290.
asymmetrical eye blinking and has done so several times throughout the interrogation up to this point. As part of a standard neurological examination, practitioners document asymmetrical facial movement, including eye blinking as well as out-of-the-ordinary ocular movement. Blinking is controlled by the nervous system, specifically through voluntary neural control in the autonomic nervous system. This could be a sign of a neurological, neuropsychological, or psychological issue, as well as medication or drug use. Overtiredness may also cause asymmetrical eye blinking, and Ellen has purportedly been awake for approximately 24 hours or more. Although overtiredness is a likely cause, we must also note that Ellen displays other abnormal eye movements at different points during the interrogation, as well as significantly and consistently odd behavior. We can only speculate what exactly this may be, but we do know there is a strong possibility that each time Ellen does this, she is experiencing some form of abnormal brain activity.
Tell me about the boyfriend you had that your dad thought was too old for you.
Sweet, 51 gold.
He just, oh yeah, that's another situation. My dad's just flat out, I don't like this guy. You need to break up with him. And of course, I want my father's wishes for
I supply
the
all
person
the
I'm
finest
seeing.
goods.
Who was the guy that was too old for you?
I won't give names.
So what was that circumstance though? Tell me about that.
My parents are very controlling.
Yeah.
My dad is very abusive.
The fuck was that?
Verbally, emotionally, when I did something that he didn't like, he would grab me right here and he'd pin me against the wall.
You know what would happen?
And then my little sisters would freak out and then he'd stop.
So what was being said or what was being done or what happened to lead up to him putting his hand on you?
I honestly don't know. I'd like to know that myself.
Well, I don't have that answer because you were the one that was there.
Well, like I said, he was drunk, but he's done it sober as well.
But what words were being said?
Like, you. It's very emotionally damaging to hear your father tell you that.
God, I'm such a troll. I just troll guild chat.
After school.
I thought you said your sisters were there.
Ellen shared only moments ago that her sisters asked him to stop.
So who was home when you left?
My sisters and my dad.
Okay.
Here she explains that she was alone when it happened. Investigators may ask the same questions repeatedly to look for the slightest deviation in suspect stories, particularly to those who display high levels of resistance, like Ellen does. Among the handful of Ellen's friends and acquaintances who spoke to the police and/or accepted
I'm dumb
our
as hell. I
invitation to
could've just gone through
interview,
there.
two mentioned
I
that
think I went
Ellen
this
was
way.
not always honest.
And she came to school one day with a thing on her leg and said it was from her sisters pushing her. But I don't know, because Ellie has kind of lied to me before, which did hurt.
Jillian McFeeder shared the story of an event that occurred closely preceding Aaron's murder with police. McFeeder stated she decided at that point that she could not forgive Ellen for what she'd done.
She was telling her father that she was at my house when she was actually at her boyfriend's house. So I got a call from Ellie that was very frantic saying, I need you to cover for me. So of course I'm thinking, okay, maybe something really bad is going on. So her dad calls me, and of course I cover for her, and then he finds out, so he ends up thinking that I was covering for her the entire time when I did not have a clue that she was lying. This is one time I thought maybe she's in a dangerous situation. Of course I'm gonna help her because she's my best friend and I trusted her, and that was the wrong decision.
Jillian ended her friendship with Ellen after that night and explained to the investigator that she would never trust her ex-best friend again. She knew Ellen was going down a wrong path, and she refused to follow. Here, sitting opposite a trained investigator, Ellen does exactly what cost her Jillian's friendship. She lies.
Yeah, sometimes we go over there by ourselves, and we just want to get away from the other two. Having two younger sisters is stressful. Everything's an argument.
The following questions are generic about whereabouts, the last time she saw her father, and some of her locations over the past 24 hours. Smith is establishing a timeline and frame of reference to compare it to what she knows about Ellen and the crime, and what she will learn from Russell's and Gavin's interrogations.
So you were at the park on the other side of the street from Dairy Queen and Blackbird, and then you saw your friends. And what were your friends doing?
Just hanging out, eating goofballs.
Okay.
We know that Ellen and said friends were certainly not just hanging out being goofballs. Ellen does not appear to be attached to what she says, seeming guiltless. She also comes off as equally removed from impending consequences. As an honors student with stellar grades, Ellen has demonstrated advanced cognitive ability. She would need to possess assets like strong critical thinking skills, working and long-term memory, and at least an average or above IQ to excel as she has. If Ellen is intellectually gifted, we have less of an explanation for why she consistently tells lies that she cannot keep up with. Her approach to evasion and resistance is persistent but not logical, let alone strong, and it brings up a question as to whether Ellen is in a normal, healthy state of mind at the time of this interrogation. A more sinister explanation, Ellen could be doing this intentionally, manipulating the investigator and setting the scene for an insanity defense.
And then what was the conversation?
Hey, what are you doing? Nothing much. What are you doing? Just walking around. You want to hang out? Sure. And we started walking.
And when do you think that was?
I'm not quite sure.
What kind of car does your dad drive?
Grand something?
What color is it?
Like goldish silver.
Nice,
When's the
50
last time you were
G's,
in that
baby.
We need,
There's a lot of them
trophy to the store.
right now.
Detective Smith continues to ask questions surrounding details of the crime. She has reasonable suspicion that Ellen was in that car only hours ago with her dead father in the trunk, and she's probing for behavioral discrepancies between answers Ellen provides here and answers Ellen provided earlier when responding to questions unrelated to the crime.
When's the last time you drove that car?
The last time I drove that car. When I parked the car at Walmart.
Okay. And that was, so today's Monday, and you said that was a couple days ago?
Mm-hmm.
What time of day?
We had to get something for dinner. So I'd say about 6 p.m.
And who all went to Walmart?
Me and my dad.
Okay. What'd you guys get?
Meat.
What kind? Like, what were you guys making?
Oh, I'm vegetarian, so I don't really care.
By the way, did you know sausages are actually the leftover pig guts? And intestines, and the heart, and the liver, pork chops, man. They're used.
Okay. When's the last time you saw your dad?
Yesterday. I'm too tired to keep talking. I'm really sorry.
You want to take a little break? Okay. Do you want some water or anything?
No, thank you.
You just want to sit here for a few minutes?
I'd like a really honest.
Okay. Well, you just sit tight for a few minutes and we'll try to figure that out, okay? Okay.
I don't care if they don't sell right now. They probably will sell eventually anyway.
It may be difficult to imagine that this mild-mannered 15-year-old girl conspired to kill her father. She has denied knowledge and culpability and claimed abuse. She has likewise lied consistently throughout the interrogation. Many involved in this case seem to want an answer to a question they're hesitant to ask. Was Ellen truly a victim of abuse, or is she lying? We spoke to multiple sources who questioned why Ellen planned and encouraged the murder of her father, when other options of escape from the alleged abuse were available to her. They argue that she could have gone to the police, her doctor, the fire station, or other local sources of support. They asked why she'd not chosen to run away. They admitted that they simply couldn't understand what had happened. It's relevant to note that cases of patricide are extremely rare. The circumstances of Aaron's tragic murder were less than 0.002% likely to happen. This innocent, sweet-sounding 15-year-old girl is not a typical young teenager. Her actions were so unusual that even the FBI lacks the words to describe them. Ultimately, though, Ellen didn't swing the baseball bat that killed her father.
Gavin was kind of one of those kids that kind of everybody knew, at least because he had kind of a very specific outward kind of image that I think he was trying to display, you know, very dark, very kind of shady, you know.
Overall, he really was relatively nice, but just kind of a weird kid. Gavin was a normal guy. He was really cool.
You know, he's always outgoing. He was an open person. He was like, I don't know, he had friends, but he wasn't like popular, if that makes sense.
It just makes sense that he would do something like that. I mean, he makes threats to kill people. He obviously has the outward image of somebody who, it seemed like he was playing an imitation game. It's like the classic, you know, trench coat mafia at your school. Like, it seemed like he wanted to be one of the Columbine shooters.
Hell yeah.
Many of those who knew Gavin held mixed perceptions of him. From multiple accounts, he seemed to be as much of a friend as he was an enemy. As normal as he was eccentric and as outgoing as he was reserved. Some said that they noticed him changing over the couple of years.
Why do I know multiple kids that look just like this fucking dude?
He was. Regardless of whether pre-murder impressions of Gavin were positive or negative, most who responded to our request to interview didn't believe that he could have done what he did.
He was never like that, man. No one would have ever guessed that he would have been a murderer, you know? In social environments, he can be cool. If you're just with him, he'll start saying that makes you think like, oh, you shouldn't say that. Don't say that to anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, keep that one to yourself.
Gavin's behavior and responses to investigators, framed within the context of what family and old friends and acquaintances have said, serve as an opportunity for a unique insight into a crime that no one anticipated. This interrogation occurred less than a day after Gavin bludgeoned Aaron to death, but shortly after he sits, he lightheartedly, mechanically asks,
"How's your morning been so far?"
Busy.
Busy? Yeah.
Mark this heavy contrast as our first behavioral observation of Gavin. He displays no visible signs of remorse. Just as we observed in Ellen, Gavin appears unfazed by the seriousness of his past actions and present situation. Whereas Ellen initially presented as emotionally flat, Gavin teeters on the edge of jovial. This is the start of what is known as the Reed technique. The first step in such technique is isolation, which they've done for an extended period. The second step deployed here is called maximization. The Reed technique recommends 5 minutes of isolation, but Gavin has been isolated for hours, with the exception of an officer keeping a close watch on him. Following isolation and maximization, the Reed method incorporates 3 primary categories: fact analysis, investigative interview, and interrogation. As part of the fact analysis step, investigators gather the facts involved in the case and analyze them to search for motive, potential to commit the crime, and likelihood to commit the crime. Law enforcement will use both dependent and independent corroborating evidence in this stage. During this stage, investigators develop a full understanding of the crime scene and other relevant aspects of the crime.
Alright, so, me and Jim have spent about 4 hours with, you probably know Miss Mike.
Yeah, wow.
And Detective Stephanie Smith has spent about the same amount of time with Ellie. And I just want to throw some things at you. So all I want you to do right now is just listen to me and let you know what's going on, okay?
Step 1. Positive confrontation. At this point, the investigators have acquired enough evidence to reasonably suspect that Gavin committed the crime. As part of positive confrontation, the primary investigator lays it all out on the table, objectively stating the facts. He does this in an intentionally soft, soothing voice to appear non-threatening and to give Gavin a false sense of security.
Mike took us out to East Antelope and pointed out the tar, and we have people out there right now recovering Ellie's dad. He's deceased. Ellie's dad was basically wrapped up in a blanket and a tar and taken out and dumped.
The investigator opts to use words that are non-accusatory while presenting the evidence. He does not say, "You took his body and dumped it." He says, "His body was taken out and dumped." The latter is passive voice as opposed to active. Controlling suspects' levels of resistance and defensiveness is critical to the success of an interrogation.
We don't know if this is something that's been planned out a long time ahead, or if this is just like last night, you guys decided to go over there and get Ellie the hell out of a bad situation.
Do I even use
The
Blood Strike?
investigator implements step 2, theme development here. He frames the crime from a perspective that fulfills Gavin's moral justifications. This is the investigator's moral theme. If Gavin murdered Aaron, he did it to protect Ellen. This will occur and build as the interrogation progresses. The investigators pre-planned this, likely structuring it around information gleaned from other sources like
Gavin was only protecting Ellie.
We will call the investigators' theme development the hero theme.
This isn't a matter of when it happened, where it happened, who was involved. It's more a matter of why this happened and what was going on through all of you guys' minds at the time. We don't take sides in these kind of cases. We're basically truth seekers.
Single target.
We're
Alright, hold on.
truth as to what happened, and Ellie has been 100% cooperative with us.
Are you Ellie? No. What's your name? I would like to meet Ellen.
And then how long have you known Ellie?
Ellie's been almost a year now, I'd say.
Okay, boyfriend, girlfriend?
Only about 6 months.
There's some information that Ellie might be pregnant. Has she told you that? Okay.
Gavin confirms that he was both dating and sleeping with Ellen. That is, he confirms that he was both dating and sleeping with a minor. It took a handful of seconds for this investigator to prompt Gavin to admit to a statutory offense.
Good job.
He was like hanging around middle school. When he turned 18 is when everybody like found out that he was with like a 15-year-old. People were automatically like, okay, bro, like that's not cool. And a lot of people stopped talking. And he wanted her at any cost. No one else could have her.
Because Gavin shows little resistance and doesn't reject or deny the investigator's accusations, the investigator can bypass steps 3 and 4 of the Reed interrogation technique, handling denials and overcoming objections. Instead, he jumps straight into step 5 of the Reed technique, procurement and retention of suspects' attention.
Jesus.
The investigator must guide Gavin's attention away from the potential repercussions of the crime and back to the main theme. He does this through minimization or through rationalizing that the crime was not that serious of an offense.
You guys are only, what, 3-4 years apart? A little over 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of the investigator's redirection here, Gavin is back in the hero mindset. From Gavin's perspective, investigators are only concerned about Aaron's abuse of his daughter, not his murder, and Gavin has exactly the information they need.
Her dad's an alcoholic, and he goes and she said that he's beaten her and locked her in the bathroom before and stuff.
Has she ever told you that anything in regards to?
That was just recently. That's what set me off. So.
Okay.
This is a turning point. In just over 10 minutes, Gavin has fully bought into the hero theme. The next steps are crucial to the success of the interrogation. They almost have a full confession, but sticking true to the Reed method, the investigator immediately continues as though Gavin merely commented on the state of the weather. The hero approach to theme development was Gavin's Achilles heel, his greatest weakness. His crime was gruesome and ruthless, but he seemed to desire to be a hero as much as he desired to be a villain. Among the dozens of friends and acquaintances we interviewed, only one confirmed a possible explanation as to why this theme worked so well for investigators.
He was very protective of the people he cared about. Actually, how we met, I was bad-mouthing some people, not realizing that he was connected to those people. They had pissed me off, and for whatever reason, I just wanted to talk, and he gave me a black eye.
Although Jacob laughed it off, the example he gave supports the theory that Gavin possesses a low anger threshold, meaning he's anger-prone. Some might argue that Gavin's actions display extreme loyalty, whereas others might protest that they served as outlets for his aggression.
When did she tell you about that, and what did she tell you?
Yesterday.
What's your understanding of what he did?
He basically laid next to her naked.
And then so you mentioned that kind of set you off, upset you, obviously, that's something.
This is an empathy statement, something that encourages reciprocity. Establishing reciprocity, in this case emotional reciprocity, in an interrogative setting is a form of persuasion. If the investigator provides a small favor, the suspect may feel a need to return it, thereby lowering resistance. The empathy statement also creates an opportunity for Gavin to elaborate on what he meant when he said, "Hey, lost it." But the investigator quickly moves on once Gavin responds. Linguistic analysis involves the interpretation of words and phrases in context. So is a transitional expression. The simple linguistic interpretation here is that Gavin wants to move on from this topic of conversation. The investigator intuits this and immediately resumes asking questions along the lines of the hero theme.
And then, so what was the plan going over to Ellie's last night? Was it to pick up her belongings and get her out of that situation?
Pick her up some stuff.
Okay.
Aaron told me to pick up her before.
He what?
He started my life and he does it before.
Aaron has over at his house?
And then there was one time he came over banging on my door to do I actually called you guys because I was like, I didn't want to go out the door, look out the window, I didn't know if he had a gun or not.
How long ago was that you called her? And then, when was the situation where he pointed a gun at you? Where was that? Where did that happen and how long ago was that?
Gavin describes his interactions with Aaron as being characterized by fear. He claims that Aaron threatened him more than once. Beyond Gavin's reports of Aaron's threatening behavior, Ellen claimed to him that Aaron abused her. The fear response is an evolutionary physiological survival mechanism that's triggered in reaction to perceived impending harm. It's otherwise termed the fight-or-flight response, which includes the following reactions: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. We'll discuss the fight-or-flight response concerning Gavin as the interrogations progress.
So I went over to the house. This was where I knew that he didn't like me or whatever. And, like, I came over and he's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And then I'm like, "I was here to say hi to Ellie. She said that I was to come over." And he's like, "Oh." So he grabbed a gun and was like, "It's out of here. I'm getting you 20 seconds."
Did Ellie witness that?
No. I don't know what caused him to not like me.
I don't know what caused him to not like me, other than the fact that I'm fucking his underage daughter. It's so fucked.
If Aaron suffered from alcoholism, Ellen could have been in a considerably unstable environment. Children of individuals who struggle with alcoholism are more likely to develop mental illness. Moreover, and in reference to Ellen's claims, greater consumption of alcohol relates to greater rates of inappropriate, unwanted advances.
So you get this text yesterday, last night, and when you got over there, what time of the morning do you think it is now that you guys arrived?
It was 2:30 in the morning.
2:30 in the morning? Is when you guys get there? Okay.
Gavin must be in his hero mindset, believing that the investigators view his crime as morally justifiable. Once Gavin is primed to be more receptive, open, and honest, the primary investigator dives into information gathering. Note that the second investigator is present to ensure proper execution of Step 9 of the Reed interrogation technique, converting an oral confession into a written confession. A third party witnesses and writes down suspects' confessions.
I don't have any food.
Yeah, when you first see her.
She's poking her head out the window, being like, "Hey, come on in."
Out of her bedroom window? Okay. And what do you and RJ do at that point?
At that point, RJ was like, "Okay," and then gas bubble or something.
Okay.
I go in the window, RJ waits outside.
He waits outside,
Yeah.
and then do the bags start getting passed out the window?
Yeah.
How many bags do you think she has ready to go at that point when you get there?
Gavin appears calm and collected, unaffected by his present circumstances. However, as the investigator probes more deeply into the specifics of that night, Gavin crosses his arms tightly over his chest. This is a self-pacifying behavior, a self-hug meant to reduce stress and regulate emotions.
When we got there,
sure.
she had 4 bags. She had a guitar.
The pellet rifle.
The pellet rifle, yeah. And then she had like a makeup kit and then another thing in it.
So now it's you and Ellie in the bedroom, and you mentioned that Dad heard you. Did Dad hear you guys in there? Or did...
Oh, he got up and then Ellie was like, "Oh, I was hot, I can go to the bathroom or whatever." Because, I mean, I didn't want this guy to come and start beating the crap out of me.
So how'd the conversation go between Ellie and her dad at that point when she's saying, I got up and went to go pee?
And he's like, alright, well stop scaring me with all the people trying to break in lately. And I was like, wait, what? Because that was the first night we had gone. I mean, we went over there last night, but I mean, we didn't go for it because her dad's girlfriend was there.
Okay.
Saturday night.
So you went over Saturday night to try to get her out of there.
Yeah. I know I'm in serious trouble, aren't I?
Well, we need to figure out what happened. And, you know, there's a lot of things in play here. But so now you've been there about 20 minutes before Ellie interacts with her dad.
His tone is even, and his responses are level, but when Gavin removes his jacket, we can reasonably assume that he is more stressed than he's letting on.
Yeah.
Actions
Probably
like
hot as
tugging at a
shit.
shirt collar or removing clothing, as Gavin does here, may be referred to as ventilating behaviors. When circumstances are heating up, humans may lean on these behaviors to cool down.
Yeah.
And I know this is going to be a little bit difficult to talk about, Gavin, but you got to be 100% honest and truthful with this. What happens next?
So then Ellie got out, and they waited in the car, and then...
Ellie went to the car?
Yeah.
Did she go out the window or the front door?
She went out the window.
Okay.
As Gavin answers, he rubs his nose. While nose touching under high-stress circumstances does not necessarily indicate deception, it does indicate heightened stress. It appears that Gavin's feelings of discomfort are building.
And when you said they waited in the car, are you talking about RJ and her?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that the car is seen on video on a surveillance camera at a neighbor's house, leaving at about 5:50 in the morning. If you're getting into the bedroom at about 2:30, you're talking about 3 hours until you guys leave. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay. That entire 3-hour time, what's going on inside the bedroom? I mean, what's the purpose of waiting so long?
We were trying to wait for him to fall asleep again so that we could get out.
Okay.
And then he starts to wake up, and I just acted on instinct, and I don't know what I was doing.
We know that Gavin was aware of what he was doing, but it appears that he displays little to no signs of discomfort or deception in this moment.
And then, like, I just kept hitting him until he stopped, and I heard, like, gurgling, and I was like, what's going on? I'm really sorry.
Next, Gavin does something unexpected.
I know you are, and I know this is difficult. And that's what we're...
Okay. Starts crying. Like a bitch.
Let me ask you this, Gavin, were you upset because of everything that Ellie had told you? Okay.
I didn't want to kill him. I didn't want to kill him.
Right, but why not at 4:30 when you know she has the keys, why not just everybody go out the window and leave?
Ellie hates her parents. She doesn't want to go back there again. She wanted him dead, but I didn't want to kill him. And I was like, I'm not going to kill him. She was all like, no, I don't want him around. I don't want him around my sisters anymore. I mean, so sorry. Prison for murder, aren't you?
Well, that's what we need to figure out here. We need to figure out what your intent was, and it's important to know.
Trying to protect him.
Okay.
My boss will try it.
So do you think that Ellie could have influenced Gavin?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would never see my nephew acting in that behavior of brutally killing somebody. From my point of view and everybody else, my family, we all agree that Ellie was 100% at fault.
It was not long before Gavin admitted to his role in executing Aaron's murder. As opposed to Ellen, he put up little to no resistance, immediately acknowledging that the events that morning had transgressed and that he had solely swung the bat that killed Aaron. Russell would prove even less resistant, uninhibitedly spilling nearly all details involved in the crime. Just as Gavin stated he was doing, Russell insisted that he was protecting Ellen. What we are about to observe is among the most bizarre behavior we have seen in an interrogation up to this point.
Is that a camera right there?
Yeah,
Rather not have a camera aimed at me.
I don't know. You can talk to Detective Ford, but
I think they're required to. So it's nothing.
Like
I made a body cam all day. I mean,
well, yeah, but see, I don't.
my friend, we're recorded wherever we go. You know that.
Even the police bathroom?
Seems like it. Probably, yeah. You have a seat, man. I'll have to sit down.
Well, you can sit down.
Yeah, well, I'm not allowed to sit unless you're sitting.
Oh.
Damn, it drips and shit. Alright, it's a 2, 2, 2. Then it's a 1, 1, 1. It's 4, 4, 4.
My shit saying 2, 2, 2.
No, look, stretch your neck. It's a 2. It's a 2. It's a 2. Then it's a backwards 2. You see this right here? Backwards 2 right here. Backwards 2 right here.
That's gonna fade away.
It looks like she trying to correct your shit right here. It look like this. And it's a 1.
So it looks like he trying to fix it over the mistake, basically.
I'm gonna show you with stretch your neck.
This was her reaction. Listen, who else can say that? It's just that he tried to.
God damn. Alright, I'm so sorry. Hold on. Let me watch.
Russell tries to show dominance and control by stating he doesn't want to be recorded, and then after the officer tells him he can sit down, he replies, "You can sit down." This immediately shows he's trying to display his lack of fear of authority. Of the three who participated in the crime earlier that morning, Russell appears to be the least impacted. While Gavin's behavior evolved from casually polite to distraught, and Ellen's from flat to angry, Russell's is steadily lighthearted and upbeat. His conduct is eccentric, driven by a variety of psychological factors that will break down as his interrogation progresses.
My mom kind of took him under her wing, trying to help him. He mentioned that he's autistic and so he has trouble finding work. And it wasn't too long before that that my youngest son was diagnosed with autism. So that was our instant connection. He did a lot of family things.
Oh, hey, I know an autistic kid too.
Easter with us, he's gone to dinners with us. So we're pretty close. I mean, he calls me his sister. He calls my mom.
Yeah. It sounds good, though. It's probably sound pretty so that people,
well, people can get loud themselves. Because sometimes we bring, like, drunks here from driving.
Drunks are the worst.
Yeah. Not a big fan.
Not a big fan of them. Like, I protect people, like I said.
Russell persistently claims that he owns a protection business. He unshakingly asserts this, and the police don't at any point question it. When individuals are convinced of something untrue despite all evidence indicating otherwise for an extended period, they're said to hold a delusion. Oftentimes, delusions are bizarre, meaning they're highly improbable or not set in reality. E.g., an individual consistently believes that the neighbor reads minds. Other times, delusions are non-bizarre, involving beliefs that are within the realm of possibility, e.g. consistently believing one is being followed. Russell's protection business could be a delusion. While outside of the norm, it could nonetheless be true, qualifying as non-bizarre. We would require additional information, such as input from friends and those Russell claims to protect, to determine this.
But, I try not to resort to violence.
Good.
I always try to talk to the person.
Yeah.
Her father is a drunk, compared to what she's told me. And I've only talked to him over the phone probably once or twice. He seems really not that good on the phone.
Really?
Yeah. He,
Her father?
Yeah.
Who is her father's name, you know?
All I know him as
is,
Aaron. That's all I know. Of course, then again, I know, like, Aaron Martinez, Aaron, her father, but I don't know his last name. And I know Aaron Novi. So.
Okay.
Russell starts rambling, and the investigator allows him to do this. This is a strategy to keep the accused talking so they feel comfortable. And the more comfortable a person feels, the more likely they are to say something incriminating. This is also a way for the officer to build trust.
I met him when I was living in Medford, working at a place called the Purple Parrot. He was trying to find a job so he could find a place to live because he was homeless. He was very sweet, very clean cut, you know, nice. He's just a savior. That's all he wanted to do was help people. You know, all his life he was let down. He went through
Why the fuck would I ever use Blood Strike? Like, I genuinely do not understand it.
And then
When
one
the
day,
fuck would I
he
ever
didn't
use
even have a
Blood
coat.
Strike?
And it was like 3 degrees. And I go, where are you going? And he said, well, I'm just going to walk around until McDonald's opens. And I'm like,
Oh,
no,
I'm dumb as hell.
no, you're going to come home with me so you'll be warm. You know, I felt like, you know, enough was enough. You know, this poor kid needs some help. No one's going to help him.
I think it was like a good 2 years that he was in our lives. Mostly in my mom's life. Like he really did become like a son to her. Anytime he was looking for help or willing to take help, she would help him.
Russell stated previously that he's diagnosed with autism. As a neurodiverse individual, Russell likely struggles with certain aspects of communication. Although he largely displays well-developed social skills, he exhibits circumstantial speech here. The various individuals named Aaron are not directly related to the conversation at hand. We'll continue to observe examples that support this diagnosis, as well as others, throughout the interrogation.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think I've ever met her father before.
Yeah.
I don't think I've met her before.
You don't want to.
I've never met you, and I don't think I've met
Yeah,
guy.
the hunting rifle. Good. Yeah.
It's a nice one, or?
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
I've never met
How'd
her.
you know you had one?
She told me.
Oh, okay.
Because he
like
likes
that,
to
so.
drink a lot.
Oh, okay.
So, and the other night, the reason why I was helping her was because he went into her room and laid next to her.
And going. Really? She tell you that?
Yeah, and that's why I got her out. Yeah, we went down to the park. We met up there. I told her just like leave everything.
Yeah.
And just like get the hell out of there. Grab like
What
a bag
park?
of clothes. Union? I think.
He says Union is a question, with his voice trailing upward. These are both indications that he may be lying. He hasn't said prior to this, so it's not a normal pattern of his speech, and answering a question with the inflection of a question shows uncertainty in your answer, either because you're lying or aren't confident in the response being correct.
Or maybe he
But
just
I've
doesn't
always been
know
kind
it
of
for
a-
sure.
Yeah, protector of people, so.
This isn't the first time Russell has claimed to be a protector of people.
He looks out for people, and I think that he takes it a little too far. One of my family members drank a lot, and he wanted to go over and beat him up because he was emotionally abusive to me. I really disagree on what he did, but I think that he had the right intentions. He would always give me a jacket off his back. I mean, he did it in a loose way, but he just cares.
And he also had this grand idea of creating a community for homeless people or just young people that need help, that don't have help. So it's like he was always trying to go out and resource that, like trying to build that up. He still does. He still talks about that. People looked at him like a protector, and he really liked that. It made him feel valued, gave him a sense of purpose, because that was another problem. He didn't really have a sense of purpose. He was just kind of left in the wind.
Unless people piss me off, then they become the, not really target in a bad way.
Yeah.
Just like target as in like someone that needs a firm talking to.
Weird.
Okay.
Or a slap across the face, depending on the
How much do they
situation.
pay for that? Is that paid yet, or?
Not financially,
No.
because I can't legally work with the SSI,
Yeah.
because I can only work under the table jobs,
Yeah.
and those don't.
How much SSI do you get?
$7.35 plus a $22 check.
That's a month?
Yeah.
Russell begins giving the officer details of his family and personal life, which is a good indication he's developed trust with him.
$735
The
a month,
investigators
brother.
enter the room, and the officer asks one of them to step out.
Can I talk to you for just a quick minute? Hey, take care, bud.
You do.
Likely to brief him on what they discuss that is relevant to the case, to see if he is consistent, and possibly to also let him know a little about his personality. So the investigator knows the best approach and techniques to deploy in getting what he needs from the interrogation.
Before we get too wrapped up in this thing, I just got here to work.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to explain why we're here today for you and just have you.
I don't even know why I'm here.
Okay, I'm going to have you just sit and listen to what the story is. And
Okay. Yeah, I have nothing to hide, so.
Okay, good. You were very cooperative with
Yeah.
us on that last deal.
Except for, when the car, like, drove up onto the sidewalk, I was like a little bit troubled.
Yeah, surprised, right? Not too surprised in my line of work.
And then they told me to get on the ground, and I was trying to go on the ground.
Okay.
And they actually, like, helped me onto the ground. Like, they told me to get on the ground, so I'm trying to get on the ground. You don't have to push my ass. Seriously. Seriously? I can do it on my own, damn it.
Take a moment to place yourself in Russell's shoes. This is more than likely not something someone would say to a member of law enforcement in this situation. It's not tactical, let alone remotely helpful. He does this countless times, and it becomes increasingly clear that there are some other disturbing factors at play surrounding his involvement in the crime.
But you seem like a nice guy. The guy that I was talking to seemed like a nice guy, so.
No spray?
Perfect.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Now all I need is a cigarette and I'll be happy. But I doubt we can, though.
You want to get a smoke?
Sure.
Do you have any smoke? I got some in my desk.
Are we allowed to smoke?
Yeah, we can go outside and smoke.
Oh,
You
outside.
want to go outside and have a cigarette real quick?
Sure.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, because I smoke, I talk better when I have a cigarette.
Oh, do you, bud?
Right now I'm like stressed out and I don't know what's going on.
The investigators give Russell a drink and allow him to go out and have a cigarette. Both things are done to further put him at ease and to gain favor with him. Sometimes it's used as a carrot to get someone to confess, and they will tell the person that they can smoke after they tell them what happened, etc. People being interrogated are sometimes not yet under arrest, so they can leave if they want to, and they certainly cannot be forced to speak. The police try to make them feel less inclined to want to leave by giving them food and drinks and cigarette breaks, and so as not to violate any due process rights. Russell proceeds to tell investigators everything they need to know.
You can sit in that chair over there. Okay. And you bring your food in. Yeah, I grabbed it. Oh, okay. Let me have your pop bottle.
Breaking. That's soft.
As has been the case with Russell so far, we have few words to explain what exactly it is that happens next.
That's not actually nice in the hospitals. I suppose they're kind of neat.
Over the next few minutes, Russell continues to narrate his experience eating McDonald's French fries, but he also behaves in ways which we really don't know how to describe.
You know, the rubies. The furry. No.
What the fuck?
Part of the Reed interrogation technique discussed earlier involves isolation, or letting suspects sit on their own without much stimulation or social interaction. The goal is to increase suspects' feelings of panic or wanting to escape. It seems that Russell responds differently to attempts at isolation than most others. Between his dramatic displays of odd behavior, he begins to leak disturbing information critical to the case. We begin to receive small doses of the terrifying truth.
Oh, it doesn't really sound different so much as it was deepening her. It was, you're listening in on my conversations, aren't you? Camera off.
God
Yeah.
damn it.
I don't care if you're fed or not. I can still twist your little mind. Don't piss me off.
Nothing appears to register for Russell in terms of...
I'm gonna go get a snack. I don't know what the fuck's going on there.
of the gravity of the situation. He's unashamedly confrontational with law enforcement when they're out of sight. He holds delusions of grandeur specifically related to power. These types of delusions often form when individuals have been in abusive situations in which they were powerless.
And I think that's really why he went to go help, well, what he thought was helping these people that he got wrapped up in.
I mean, literally, for his 21st birthday, he had never had a party. I made him a cake. We had a little party at my daughter's house. He ran around with the kids, so even though he's 21, he was playing with 10-year-olds, you know, and having a great time. I let him to be a little kid because he told me he never got to be a little kid. Our kids that are high functioning, they're, you know, very giving, loving. They just want acceptance.
That's gotta be the mom of the lady that's not anonymous.
Good gospel. Nice. Very nice. Good. Good. Very nice. She probably food last night. And this time. Maybe I should talk to her more often.
Because Russell continues to talk and is making useful and incriminating statements, the investigator will likely let him sit in the room alone, talking for as long as he continues to do so.
Yeah, I ain't no rat.
Russell had numerous encounters with law enforcement leading up to this moment. There are several charges on his record preceding this crime, including sodomy and abuse in the 3rd degree.
I wonder if I can be an undercover here. Ooh, a really long one.
There's evidently no one in the room with Russell, so he's either vocalizing an imagined dialogue or hearing someone who's not there. If the latter is true, this could be an auditory hallucination, meaning that Russell is hearing something non-existent. This, coupled with his delusions, would strongly indicate that he is in a state of psychosis. Individuals commonly reference the word psychotic when they see others acting in an aggressive, unusual, unstable, or other abnormal manner. But the technical definition involves issues with reality testing, distinguishing between what is objectively real and what is objectively not real. Behavioral manifestations may include delusions or hallucinations, and we know that, at a minimum, Russell experiences delusions. We'll later see that Russell previously commented that he suffers from bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder creates abnormal swings from neutral mood states to periods of abnormally high energy and/or irritability or mania, to periods of abnormally low energy and/or sadness or depression. This mental illness, affecting nearly 2.6% of the United States population, is the country's 6th leading cause of disability, and it tracks that Russell is on that list. Up to this point, we've witnessed particularly strange behavior, but none so strange as what follows.
You do know I know you're listening, right? So listen here. Ellie Fryer is my client, my protectee. I would like to see her. Asking. Being polite. I know you're looking directly at me, aren't you? The information I gave is not worth $6. It's worth a lot, more.
Russell behaves as though he's a supervillain. He's so removed from the reality of the situation that it may prove difficult to imagine the events that occurred earlier that day. When he accidentally turns off the recording device, he seems surprised that he can do so, and begins playing with it. The gravity of the situation he's in is clouded, but we don't yet know by what. He's visibly happy with this new sense of control he feels by being able to turn the recording device on and off.
Red means you can't hear me. Green, you can. Gavin and Ellie are to be released to me because the assault her father did the morning of the incident, defending a female. Now here's the thing.
You fucking said.
I know the cops' twisted little pathetic rule game.
Okay.
And actually, sometimes I like to think that I invented the rule book. I'm not exactly bragging, but I use reverse psychology, which makes me be able to...
Russell steeples his hands, which is a gesture to indicate superiority over those you're speaking to.
make you think it's not Gavin, but in fact, your own kid, by reverse psychology.
Whoa,
making you look like the lunatic. We can play it the easy way or the hard way. I'm talking nice. You got two choices. One, put a bullet through my head, or two, for all the evidence that I gave you guys, right there on a silver platter, right there down to the last detail. Not one thing missing. A whole list, step by step by step. Even a third grader could read how easy that was. For one, Ellie is still technically a minor.
Russell is speaking to the officers in a condescending tone and looking at a non-existent watch. He's under the delusion that because he has confessed every detail of the crime step by step, they owe him something now.
You want to play hardball? I played baseball when I was younger. I wouldn't go there. And I know everything that I'm saying is being recorded, and I'm doing it on purpose. I can easily turn the speaker off and rant, and then you guys will come in thinking I'm a loony because you don't hear me. Here's the thing. I'm not the one with the donut fetish. Give a cop a donut, and he'll want a coffee to go with it. Give a mouse a cookie, and he'll want a glass of milk. Give a moose a muffin, and he'll want something else. But here's my favorite one. What is it when a cop car is towed by a tow truck? Pulled pork.
Jesus Christ. I need to get some water. Yo, these fucking cookies right here, bro. Fire. Fire cookies. Alright, I'm about to go away, though. Bye.
When the officers don't respond to his threats, Russell begins making police jokes and using police stereotypes. He continues on his narcissistic rant and delusions of having control and dominance in this situation.
So, we can either tell pig jokes all day, or we can have a little chat. I'm very, good at convincing people. And I don't even use hypnosis. I think I just said yeah.
Again, Russell speaks to someone who is not there. This is either a hallucination or vocalized internal dialogue.
So, Ellie is to be handed over to me as soon as you guys can get her here. 2, Gavin is released so that when Ellie's kid is born, it can have a father.
Ellen had faked a pregnancy, and there was talk that she used this as a tool to motivate Gavin and Russell to kill Aaron.
When she first got locked up, she was trying to tell everybody she was pregnant. She was not pregnant.
She told you she was pregnant?
I've known for about 2 weeks now.
2 weeks? She told you? Okay. Did you tell Ellie you don't want to kill him?
I told her, like, I don't want to do this. And I told her that like, I didn't want to kill him.
So when these kind of things happen, Gavin, there's usually something that clicks and you make a decision on what you're going to do.
The investigator starts establishing premeditation, which is required for a first-degree murder charge.
How long before you hit Dad with the bat has that conversation come up?
She's been talking about it for a long time. I tried to be civil with Aaron and stuff. I was like, should I offer to go and have a cup of coffee and discuss why he has beef with me?
So going back to you guys getting there around 2:30 in the morning, is it possible you got there earlier than 2:30?
I mean, we were at Union at like about 1:30.
And did you guys have to wait around for a little while?
We did. Ellie was like, just wait till he falls asleep and come in.
And where did you grab the bat from? Where did you grab the bat from before you walked into the front room?
No, I wanted to keep the bat for myself.
Okay.
Ironically, the bat that Gavin wanted to keep for himself, the bat that Gavin used to beat Aaron to death, was the bat that Aaron had on hand for protection. At best, Gavin used the murder weapon that was most convenient. At worst, Gavin took pleasure in this irony, claiming an ultimate power by using Aaron's sense of safety and security as a weapon against him, and walking out the door with it. Perhaps Gavin desired the bat for himself as a trophy.
So now you're walking from Ellie's room with the bat, and the plan for you is to walk out the front door.
That's what I mean, Ellie wanted me to kill him, but I didn't want to. I was planning on just walking straight out the front door.
Did you play along with Ellie and say, okay, I'll kill him?
Mm-hmm.
You did?
But then he woke up.
Did you tell Ellie how you were going to kill him?
No.
Did she ever mention, hey, use the bat?
Well, she said that if I wanted to, I could, and I was like, it's not that hard to punch someone in the throat.
Here, Gavin displays an out-of-place, boastful sense of pride over holding violence-related knowledge. This is a strong indicator of aggressive tendencies. Family and numerous friends and acquaintances confirm that Gavin held a violent streak. Another of Gavin's close old friends shared the following.
We used to get together and like play football or different things like that with a bunch of guys we knew. And a couple different times he ended up punching somebody, or like I think he broke his nose at one point. And then a couple other times, yeah, sort of unprovoked, kind of fight somebody at our youth group. It was more of just a 1 or 2 thing, and then he would walk away. It's not like he was trying to kill somebody at that time, obviously.
An additional past friend described that Gavin displayed unusually aggressive behavior a week preceding the murder.
Yeah. So last time I'd seen him, we were just hanging out, like smoked a little bit. He wanted to like wrestle me. Like he's like, I know. He's like, I'm a black belt. Like we should fight. He's never really wanted to fight. So I didn't know if maybe he was like trying to get prepared for, like this obviously is like afterthoughts. Like, oh, that's weird, Like he wasn't very good at it. I don't think he was really a black belt. And it was just like, what?
Caden, who had attended South Medford High School with Gavin, explained that everyone in the school knew that he was scary and seemed dangerous when he shared his friend's experience.
He threatened one of my best friends, where he had actually sent a picture of a revolver to him, making the threat that he was going to, harm him. And then when they took it to the school didn't do anything about it.
We've watched Gavin cry and state repeatedly that he did not want to kill Aaron. We've also heard friends and family share stories depicting that he was quick to rage, often searching for an outlet for his aggression, whether it existed in tackle football, playful wrestling, or defending his friends. It leads us to a question of whether Aaron was another one of Gavin's outlets.
So she hands you the bat in the bedroom and tells you to go take Dad out. Okay, what were her exact words?
She said go out in the front room, take him out, and text me and let me know when it's done. And to me, I was like, okay, so I guess she wants me to kill him, but I don't want to kill him.
So you kick the bin and the dog barks. Where's the dog at?
Sleeping on the couch with him.
How do you know the dog was on the couch with him?
Like, 'cause I was, like, when we were in the house, like, I heard, like, one of the reasons...
He's used the word like periodically throughout the interrogation, but here, Gavin uses it almost back to back. This is a notable deviation from baseline and a strong indicator of general stress, most likely nervousness in the context of the topic.
Before leaving, because we heard him say, Sadie, move, and I was like, oh, okay, because, like, he's probably disturbed a little bit.
Is it possible, Gavin, that you hit him while he was asleep?
I don't think so, no.
Is it possible, though?
It's possible he might have still been asleep.
This eliminates any possible self-defense theory his lawyers might have wanted to use at trial.
But I couldn't see anything. It was pitch black.
What makes you think that he woke up?
He was like, what the who are you?
But is that after you hit him once or before?
That was before.
Earlier in the interrogation, Gavin had clearly described that Aaron woke up and, in turn, Gavin acted on instinct. He is beginning to contradict himself, but it's not long before we hear the full truth.
Is it possible that he might not have said that and you just hit him while he was asleep on the couch?
I don't remember.
Are you 100% sure he said, who's that? Or could you just be telling me that, thinking that, trying to minimize this, making it look a little better? Because
I just hit him while he was asleep. And then
okay, so if you're going to tell the truth, let's tell the truth all the way, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Was he awake when you hit him?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't wanting to kill him. But then the dog started barking, and I knew where I was. I just snapped because I didn't want to have to deal with him. It was after, like, the second swing, he was like, what the f***? And then...
Was he ever able to get up off the couch, or did...
No.
And be honest with us, don't try to minimize things. How many times do you think you hit him?
I think I hit him about 6 times.
6 times?
Yeah, 5 or 6 times.
And were all those hits, where did you swing and hit him at?
Like, his chest and his head.
Okay. Ultimately, did he stop talking, stop moving?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When did you turn the light on?
Like, I stood there for a little bit. I don't know. It seemed like hours, and I was just like, what did I just do?
Okay.
Like, one time, we were at my mom's house. I told him to come inside. He wouldn't listen to me. So he went outside, and because my mom's in a wheelchair, pushed my mom down the driveway, and my mom fell back and cracked her head open.
Oh my gosh.
I know this might be tough, Gavin, but it's important to know. Can you stand right there for me? Right there. Stand up for me. And tell me that first time you swung the bat, tell me exactly how you swung the bat the first time.
The investigator gets Gavin to reenact the actual murder, which helps both verify the confession and to show his actions match the evidence. This makes a false confession claim harder to get around.
His couch is like right here.
Okay.
His head's right here. I'm standing right here, a little bit at an angle. And I went over the shoulder the first time, and then I started going up above my head.
And the first time you swung it, it was over the shoulder? And all the rest of the times you hit him, did you come up over the top?
Yeah.
You work at Del Taco, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you take some gloves from work?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was wearing gloves, yeah.
Are they light blue gloves, latex
Yeah.
gloves? And did you put those on before you went out in the front room?
I had those on the entire time because I didn't want to, I mean, I was really just planning on going in and out and trying to leave no fingerprints or anything, so.
And these are the clothes that you were wearing? This that you have on?
No.
Where are the clothes?
I went home and I washed them.
Okay.
Are they in the wash? Washer?
Yeah.
Is that over an almond?
No, that was over at Bobby's.
I'd like to formally apologize for leaving so
Bobby
long.
Jackson, my best friend, and I'm his best friend. Been that way since like 6th grade, and Gavin kind of ended up joining us in that.
Kyle shared that he, Bobby, and Gavin were close, but no one else who he interviewed mentioned that this trio existed. Gavin embodied multiple personas. He didn't belong to any one group, and those he regularly spent time with seemed unaware of others he regularly spent time with. Interestingly, Kyle and Bobby in one location and Jacob in another claimed that Gavin was living with them at the time of the murder.
We were close. He was actually living with me and another guy and his mother when this all happened.
Gavin's friend Christopher Snow had also reported that Gavin was his roommate at the time. Christopher spoke to the press the day after the murder, explaining he was shocked, disbelieving that Gavin and Ellen were at odds with her father. The person who disagreed most with their relationship, according to Christopher, was Ellen's mother.
Does anybody know that you did this besides you and Ellie and RJ? Did you tell anybody else?
No.
Gavin may not have told anyone that he followed through with Aaron's murder, but he certainly talked about wanting to kill him. No one we or the police spoke with commented that they'd suspected he would go through with it, but many commented that he'd spoken of it. In fact, one individual commented that Gavin regularly told others that he could get away with killing someone.
An example would be he would say something along the lines of, I'd be able to get away with killing, it'd be easy, I know all these things, I'll watch all these documentaries. Like it was just something normal to say. Everything in his life seemed like it was a game to him.
Interestingly, Gavin displays nonverbal behaviors which indicate feelings of insecurity and discomfort. For example, he hunches his shoulders and crosses his arms tightly over his chest, making himself smaller and more contained. Essentially, an upright, adapted version of the fetal position.
Before you leave the house, are you being 100% honest with me that Ellie was out in the car?
Because I'm a bit confused, because when did she come back in and get the dog?
She came back in after I hit her dad.
Note that Gavin commented, hit her dad, not killed her dad. This is distancing language, or language that places psychological space between the topic under discussion and the speaker. Either Gavin doesn't register the murder, or he cannot stand the thought that he killed someone.
Why do you think he did it?
To me, in my eyes, I felt like he was an enemy. Like he was out to hurt me.
Okay.
So.
What do you think happens when you hit somebody in the head with an aluminum bat?
There's a lot of brain damage.
Do you think it could cause somebody to die?
Yeah.
This is to establish another element of first-degree murder, is that it must be committed with some sort of intent to kill the person. The murderer must therefore have attacked or harmed their victim with the purpose of ending their life.
Did you do anything to try to give him any kind of aid? And how does Ellie get in the house?
She just comes in through the front door.
Hold on, when she comes through the front door, what does she see?
She sees her dad laying on the couch.
What does she say?
Well, she didn't say anything. She just...
Did it shock her? Was she upset?
Not really, no.
Did you tell her what you did?
No.
Was it obvious?
It was obvious.
Okay.
It was obvious.
This is to show that Ellen knew this was going to happen, and that she was a co-conspirator, so she can't later deny knowing Gavin was planning to kill him.
When Ellie comes in, is he making gurgling noises, or has he stopped making those noises?
Gavin's body language is an extreme show of emotional distress. More genuine than the adapted version we witnessed previously, he is sitting in an upright fetal position, holding his knees to his chest. This is blatantly self-pacifying, indicating Gavin is far more affected by this than his vocal tone and straightforwardness suggest.
So she comes in, gets the dog. Does she go outside, or does she stay in the house with the dog?
She just goes outside. RJ and I, we opened the trunk and then we put him in there.
Okay, tell me about, let's back it up and walk through that slowly.
I'm sorry.
Individuals compress their lips under periods of great distress. Gavin's lips have disappeared.
And RJ came
I do that all the
front
time,
door,
dude.
And RJ saw it. What did RJ say?
Like when I'm like
He was
into
like,
something.
Oh God, that's gross. And then I was like, okay, you grab his feet and then we'll get him out to the trunk. And then we kind of drug it through the yard. And then we just like lift him up into the trunk.
So,
God damn it.
you're in the house. Do you guys go back into the house after
This is to establish a possible burglary charge. It also shows the callousness and lack of remorse after the fact for the crime.
Remember getting any money in the house?
Oh yeah, she went and took some money from her dad's wallet, yeah.
How much cash did you get?
She said it was like $40.
From his wallet?
Yeah.
So he obviously didn't have his wallet on.
Yeah.
Ellen can argue that she planned this to protect her sisters, and she can argue that he abused her, but few words, if any, explain why she would possess any moral justification to steal from her recently murdered father.
What was he wearing on the couch when you turned the light on?
He was wearing a black Raider shirt and a pair of black shorts.
When did she first bring up that she wanted her dad dead?
Like after he slapped her. And
How long ago? How long ago was that?
Like, this was a week before she texted me about the...
This shows that this specific incident of abuse was not the motive for the murder, at least not for Ellen. A prosecutor might submit to a jury that the likely actual motive for the killing of her father was him not letting his minor daughter and Gavin date.
Okay. And then once, as that conversation developed, did you ever come to what are we going to do with him afterwards?
I mean, RJ was like trying to tell me, I have a friend, we can go up, leave the car there, he can tear the car apart, that way there's no car left.
I'm very, good at convincing people.
So when did you go to Bobby's house?
Bobby's, I stopped by, I just, like swapped clothes and I left again, no one was awake.
So, and then you end up over on Almond Street. Okay.
Investigators later learned that Gavin had led them astray, hoping they would stop by Bobby's house so his friends would know that something had happened.
And run through us with what you were wearing at the time that you hit him with the bat.
I was wearing my gray hoodie.
Not that one?
It was a gray pullover hoodie.
Okay.
It wasn't this one, no.
Okay.
Like all my hoodies are
What was
gray.
on under the gray hoodie?
And then I had on, it was my Batman t-shirt, I think.
Okay.
And that I think I actually left at the house, but I don't think there was any blood or anything on that.
And what pants were you wearing?
I'm still wearing the same pants. I didn't change my pants. I just changed my jacket.
So you were wearing those pants?
Yeah.
And what shoes were you wearing?
I was wearing my boots.
The ones you have on now?
Yeah.
Or the ones, I don't think you're wearing them now,
Well,
right?
they took them off, yeah.
Okay. What do you do when you get to the location where you guys dump Aaron?
We kind of sit there and we're like, nature. And it was peaceful. And it was relaxing.
Gavin discusses how it was peaceful and relaxing looking at the woods and lake while sitting in the car, with Aaron's dead body in the trunk. This shows a serious lack of remorse.
When you get there, though, what do you guys do?
So we kind of sat and we kind of enjoyed the view because it was nice out.
Gavin goes off on a tangent, displaying a symptom characteristic to his attention deficit hyperactivity disorder diagnosis: lack of focus.
And then what happened?
And then we're like, okay, let's get this done before anyone drives by or anything.
How did you get him out of the trunk? By himself or with the blanket?
I kind of just went up and grabbed him by underneath the shoulders and lifted him. So,
Okay.
and then RJ kind of like picked up his legs. It was the blanket pillow and all, and then we just like let it roll, and then it kind of wrapped itself up. So when it was rolling down the hill, the tarp wrapped itself up around him. I kind of tried to wrap him up a little bit, like cover up his feet.
The investigators keep a cool head while Gavin describes throwing Aaron's body off the embankment, along with some trash.
Is there still any blood in the trunk?
I don't know. I think there's still some on the outside, because he was kind of leaking everywhere.
Okay. And then where do you guys go from there?
And then we were like, okay, we're going to Walmart. And that's when we went to Walmart.
Where does RJ stay?
He just stays outside and smokes.
And where did you get those cigarettes?
Those were for Dad's.
Remember what kind of cigarettes they were?
They were Camel 99s.
Okay. Ultimately, you and Ellie go in, you buy some junk food, did she buy a pregnancy test?
Yeah.
Then you guys come out of Walmart,
And we went inside, like, Ellie and I went upstairs because she had to use the restroom. And she also was gonna check out the hair dye, so I gave her the hair dye, she went to the bathroom. She came back out, was like, this is the wrong stuff, and you go to return it. We went back to Walmart, and we got the refund of $9.77, was the refund. And then we go back out.
Picky about makeup and hair dye, sneaking out of a bedroom window to see a forbidden older boyfriend, and conspiracy to commit patricide. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong.
Gotcha. You need something, bathroom, water, or something like that?
Can I get some water, please?
Yeah. You want a soda or anything?
No, you guys have Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Okay. You want to do?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I don't understand why you guys are being so nice to me. Maybe just drink something.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Gavin is offered a drink, and he states how nice the police are being to him, showing that the Reed tactic they have employed has worked well, and they're seen as allies to him. It proves difficult to determine whether Gavin is experiencing true remorse over what he's done, or regret over the repercussions, or both. Whatever the case, Gavin's emotionality indicates that he didn't go about this entirely in control and intelligently. Up to this point, we can reasonably speculate that Gavin displays aggressive tendencies, violent behavior, and impulsivity. There's more to this story, but we'll cover that later. Gavin had displayed concerning behavior throughout
So
childhood
much more to
into
the story.
adulthood. So much so that he was considered a possible threat to others at South Medford High School.
People talk about schools having like a list of kids who are potential threats. I'd say he was like the poster child for that person at our school. It was like an understood thing, you know, about Gavin, that that's kind of the person that he was. Kind of a scary person, not someone you would think to mess with.
Yeah, it just kind of gave me like an off vibe sometimes. You know, everyone jokes around like, okay, if we had a school shooter, it'd probably be him.
Anything concerning with Gavin? Yes, we did a threat assessment, a threat to others assessment. I can't remember when. He grabbed a student's was inappropriate on a few occasions. We also, I believe, did a risk to self assessment on him at least once, like that he'd said he was going to kill himself.
Yeah, something split in his head, man. Something he cracked. Like I said, it's like she did help kill her dad, but like I swear to God, she was crazy. From what I heard, you know, she did some crazy. But I don't think she would kill her dad.
All right. How you doing? You are? I'll tell you, if I was at a police department, I would be wide awake.
Detective Smith is consistently direct with Ellen. She implies here that Ellen should be more alert, despite Ellen being sleep-deprived because of the circumstances. This seems rather counterintuitive, considering that Ellen is already displaying high levels of resistance, which interrogators typically counter with empathy and kindness.
We talk to everybody that is involved, and then... You okay? Okay.
I've been under the weather lately.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Ellen makes poor attempts at eliciting sympathy in whatever way she can throughout the interrogation, but the investigator pays little mind, often implying that Ellen is, for lack of a better word, dramatic. This is markedly histrionic behavior. Histrionic essentially means melodramatic. In the mental health world, histrionic behavior is heavily and unsurprisingly present in histrionic personality disorder. It can be a symptom of a variety of other disorders as well, but generally refers to maladaptive, attention-seeking, and exaggerated behavior.
And then we talk and try to like hammer out and figure out who's saying what's going on, and try to really get the real story from everybody, okay? Is it okay if I keep talking to you kind of about what we've learned?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then if you feel like letting me know stuff, you can do that. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Okay. So, this morning when the police were called to your house, it was because your sisters actually saw you and Gavin and somebody else in there, or a couple other people in there leaving. Then they saw a lot of blood in the house, okay? So then what they did was call Michelle. You know Michelle?
No, I don't know Michelle.
I'm pretty sure that's her name. Your dad's girlfriend who was over at the house last night?
Oh, Mickey.
Mickey! Thank you.
Her name's Mickey.
Okay. Thanks for helping me out. They called Mickey and then ran to your mom's house, and so everybody's really concerned and worried about you and your dad, because we actually don't know where your dad is right now.
That's really disturbing to hear.
I agree.
Consistent with previous displays, this behavior is more than awkward. It's uncomfortable, what some might call cringy to watch. We can tell she's attempting to muster up and replicate something resembling shock, panic, or concern. but she falls considerably short of the mark. Nonverbal experts might determine she is being disingenuous from reading her robotic arm movements, chiral facial expression, or incongruent verbal and nonverbal communication. Even her word choice comes off as suspicious. Imagine being detained, sitting across the table from an investigator in an interrogation room, and learning that your father is missing and there is blood everywhere in your living room. Would your response be a robotic? That is very disturbing to hear. This is more so an explanation of an emotion, not an expression, which is why we easily sense that something is off. The investigator directly challenges Ellen with step 1 of the Reed interrogation technique discussed earlier, positive confrontation. She lays all the evidence law enforcement has indicating Ellen's involvement up to this point. We also can tell from this moment and from points earlier in the interrogation that Detective Smith is attempting to set up a theme that involves Ellen's sisters. Similar to Gavin's moral justification for committing the crime, Ellen's might be that she was trying to protect her 2 younger sisters.
I absolutely agree, and your sisters are a little bit disturbed by that as well. Because they're scared that they saw you leaving, they're scared there's blood in your house, and they're scared that nobody knows where your dad is. So they're awfully little to have those kinds of worries.
Maybe he was looking for me.
So where did all the blood come from in your house?
I don't know.
Okay. Mickey knows that you were there, Sierra was there, Olivia was there, your dad was there. So it would be nice if we could get some of this figured out. And like I said,
Detective Smith makes a skillful confrontation about figuring out what's going on, without making a direct contradiction to Ellen, who begins to gesture and move without purpose. For instance, she momentarily glances at her nails here. These meaningless gestures and movements grow to be progressively more pronounced. Meaningless movement, otherwise known as fidgeting, is a widely known nonverbal indicator of nervousness. Pay attention to the topic of conversation during times when Ellen fidgets the most.
so, somebody else is talking to Gavin, somebody else is talking to Mike. Oh, a little owie there? Okay. So, it would be nice if we could get on the same page now, okay?
Excuse me, what's your name?
Stephanie.
Stephanie, I'm barely awake right now, and I barely have any recollection of what happened yesterday or within the 24 hours.
Do you need coffee?
I hate coffee.
Okay.
I try to stay away from caffeine and other chemicals.
And you don't eat meat. Is there anything we can get you, like, from a fast food restaurant that would...
No, thank you.
Okay.
In all honesty, I don't feel like I deserve that.
You don't deserve food? Why?
Finally, Ellen expresses something resembling guilt. At least that is what it seemed like before she said,
I don't feel like I deserve any of my basic human rights.
Oh.
Especially when it comes to my father.
Okay, help me understand that.
They shamed me for the way that I eat for years.
Okay. Like in what way?
Just shaming me.
Well, you don't eat meat. Do they comment about that?
My dad ridicules me for that.
Okay. Well, that doesn't have anything to do with you being hungry and us wanting to go out and grab you something if you want something.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
But thank you for the offer.
Well, you bet. Yeah.
Some may feel bad for Ellen, but keep in mind what she was recently part of. It could be that her father ridiculing her over food was only one piece to the puzzle that set her off. But fixating on this detail in this moment, going so far as to share it with Detective Smith, indicates egocentrism, which involves interpreting life as though it exclusively revolves around the self, and maladaptive self-pity. There could be a persecution complex here. If Ellen holds a persecution complex, she possesses a persistent belief that others have malintent toward her. It's hard to determine whether there's mental illness involved at this point. She could be playing the sympathy card.
Tell me about Gavin being at the house this morning.
He was walking with me everywhere, so if we went there, then he was there.
Okay. And what were you guys doing there?
Probably I don't know.
I
I'm half
know.
asleep.
Again, I am absolutely not trying to sound rude, but some things I just kind of have to lay out, okay?
I understand.
Are you an AP student?
Yes.
You take AP classes?
Mm-hmm.
taking AP classes, you've got to work really hard in those classes, and I know that. Okay, so I know there were times you were really super tired and you were still studying. So for you to sit here and tell me how tired you are and you can't remember, I feel like maybe that's just an excuse because you don't want to talk about something that's super hard to talk about.
Detective Smith is narrowing the ability for Ellen to be evasive.
She's good.
We're all trying to keep together.
She's
You're
good.
very worried about your dad, and I get that.
At first, when she started talking about that AP shit, I was like, shut the fuck up. But nah, she nailed it.
He might have abused me for most of my life, but he's still my father.
And
Ellen uses every opportunity to sneak in a comment about how her father was abusive. Again, we re-arrive at the idea that Ellen is not fully aware or functional during this interrogation, only because she is so poorly lying and concealing her negative feelings toward her father, which would, as Ellen might logically reason, add to motive. She's reportedly intellectually gifted. It raises a question as to whether Ellen is attempting to pull off shock, or whether she's a 15-year-old struggling to comprehend how to get out of a bad situation.
so one of the things that has also happened is South Medford High School has a school resource officer, and apparently you're still a student there. And you had like a band thing this weekend, and your dad came and picked you up from the school at like 3 in the morning?
Ellen coughs nearly every time she takes a drink and looks up to Detective Smith to see her reaction. This is histrionic, dramatic, and pity-seeking behavior. But it also occurs each time the conversation becomes more heated. Note that Detective Smith is quite direct in her confrontation in this moment.
Are you going to choke on your water? It worries me.
My throat's burning right now.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to drink the water, but if it's going to hurt, maybe give it a little break. Does that sound okay? Anyway, have you
She's
met
good.
Officer Jackson? He's a school resource officer at South?
No.
Okay. So Officer Jackson says you are a current student there. Why would Officer Jackson say that? I mean, because you're a current student there, and you're kind of pulling my leg a little bit. And that you're in band.
I do know about a lot of underage people having marijuana though.
Okay. Well, that's probably a dime a dozen these days.
Ellen makes an additional attempt to divert attention away from her wrongdoing onto someone else's wrongdoing. This is otherwise known as deflection, and it's Ellen's favorite type of defense mechanism.
I've had temporary amnesia in the past. There was a couple of instances where I have passed out and lost my vision and my memory.
Okay.
And it was when I had a throat stone.
Do you have a throat stone right now?
No.
Oh.
A while ago.
Okay. So when you have this temporary amnesia, who takes you to the doctor?
I don't really talk to anybody or reach out.
You would certainly tell your mom or your dad if you have temporary amnesia.
I feel like I can't really...
I wouldn't remember that I had temporary amnesia. I think this is going to be my last run. I'm probably going to
Where's your dad?
go to sleep. Holy shit. I ate so many cookies, like way more cookies than I probably should have. And I feel fat as shit right now. And I need to stop. I need to weigh myself. I've been like
What was the last
trying
one?
not to weigh myself.
Like I said, a roofing
But we'll
job.
see.
Oh, the roofing job. You said for a neighbor?
Yeah,
Okay. Did
Sorry,
he get paid
sorry,
for
sorry.
that?
I believe so.
How much money did he get for that?
I don't know, Stephanie.
Okay. You know, I'm just trying to figure out what happened. That's all.
I'm trying to piece together everything right now.
Well, so far you've told me you're 18 and your name is Rain. And I'm here to tell you, you're 15 and your name is Ellie. Okay, maybe you go by Rain. Do you go by Rain?
Yes,
Okay.
Rain and Rose.
So your friend would know you as that. Like Russell goes by Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Jesus.
Note that while Ellen has allowed Detective Smith to state that her name is Ellie and she's 15, Ellen has not accepted blame or outright acknowledged that she was lying. Ellen's lies surrounding her identity could indicate that dissociation is present. Ellen would be in a state of dissociation in this moment if she's protecting herself by
I hate
psychologically separating herself
everything.
from something.
Every motherfucking thing about this game. I have been doing this for way too long. Alright, I'm done. Fuck this. I'm off stream. See ya.